What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 130. And today we are going to break down half of the matchups in week 7. We'll call this part 1. And with me from right down the hallway, he is my roommate and my best friend, the commissioner of this great league, a 3-time champion, Mr. Ben Nisman. Benny, how are you doing this week, my friend?
Doing great. Thank you, Joe. You don't miss any part of it. You always throw in the three champs. You always throw in the commissioner in the introduction. You never miss. I love it. And obviously, another crazy week as we finish the first act, what I like to call the first act of the film in the Bigs, the first 7 weeks. Then we get in now into the middle, 8 through 14, the next seven. And then 15 through 22, even though that's 8 weeks, week 22 is just it's a whole new thing. It's just it feels like a playoff week. So I'm excited for the ending, but now we're in the middle, and obviously it was very intense. A lot of flip-flopping of the in the standings, which we assumed was going to happen. But we got a lot to get to, a lot of breakdowns. So, Joe, as always, please lead us off, my man.
Let's get going, boys. Benji, we're going to start with you, who took one of the worst losses we've seen in a while from you. It's a 16-4 beating at the hands of Bobby Russo. Now, it was 16-4 coming in, it was 16-4 going out. Looks like strikeouts by a batter. Bobby had a 1 tick advantage, and you tied that. And saves were tied, and Bobby got the untying save. So again, 16-4 coming in, 16-4 going out. Ben, you won by nothing close. Bobby wins by 2 triples, the stolen base, the save, 2 home runs, and 2 relief appearances. Interesting that he beats you in relief appearances, but the one that gets you is the stolen base, is it not?
Either that or the late save. But yeah, I would definitely say the fact that stolen bases were there for me. I mean, Luis Ariz had three stolen bases all of last year. He was the late night guy to put in. Bobby and I were watching each other. He was seeing if I was going to play Arise. We waited till the last minute for us both to end up benching both of our guys. He had Cronenworth. I was hoping that he would play him, hoping that he would strike out. I don't play Luis Ariz in that night game because even though he doesn't strike out a lot, he's more likely to a strikeout than a stolen base. So he gets the stolen base. And if I play him, Bobby would end up playing Cronenworth. He'll take the strikeout. And then the score is 15-5, not 16-4. A plus 10, or for me, a minus 10 versus minus 12 is a pretty significant difference. Yes, absolutely, Joe. That was the most annoying thing that happened, and it happened to be in the final game. But in general, we're talking about a matchup that was just so done from day one. And this was one of the most relentless offenses consistently on every day for an entire week that I've ever experienced in the bigs. Like I've never seen that type of dominance offensively, never. And not to mention he throws to a 256 and he's doing around that. So I was pitching pretty well, but had to go for it on certain stats. So I actually ended up playing pitchers that I never necessarily would, just to secure the innings, just to secure strikeouts on the final day. So yeah, a tough team to play on both sides of the ball. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I personally, if I'm playing against a team like that that's doing that, I'd rather that be the time where I'm terrible, because I'd hate to be hot and just play a team that's just a little bit hotter to me, and I am losing around that same score anyway. So at least for me, I prefer to just be cold when somebody is hot and then click at the right time. It's unfortunate that it's only 4. It's unfortunate that it's a minus 12, but I gave myself a reasonable amount of a lead so that I'm still over 10 over 500 going into the second act. And I think that's pretty good. I would have signed up for that.
Yeah, you're in great shape here with even with this loss. Now you can't take another one immediately following it, or within a couple of weeks of it, if you just play to the middle this week. All of that being said, Bobby put together one hell of a week this week. 329 and a 424 on base percentage. Both led the league. The 256 ERA would have beaten, I think, everybody but maybe one or two teams. And he played this as strongly as he possibly could. I know that he was texting me during the week. Unfortunately, my phone is across the room, so I won't have any text messages for anybody this week. Take that back. It's in my pocket.
Oh, there you go.
But no, Bobby was texting me all week about this matchup, and he was super. I will say that he says he wasn't greedy, but I know he wanted every single stat he could possibly get.
Yeah, I could imagine that, and you can't be too upset looking at this score, especially because he didn't lose anything close. The only thing maybe he's kicking himself with is strikeouts being tied by a batter, just because I snuck myself into that. I only played a few guys on Sunday. We'll get into it, but as did he, and he played Bregman, and that was the one that ended up tying the category. So if he is a little bit more conservative with that play, maybe he takes that category as well. But we'll get into it more. But this was as crazy as there was some chess going on in this matchup,
Sure.
even though it's such a lopsided score.
The one thing that we were texting about that is interesting, Daniel Hudson was warming up for a save in LA this week, and I texted him like, Hudson's getting ready to make this save. And then Jason Hayward hits like a 3-run bomb, and it pushes it to like a 5-run lead. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not happening anymore. So you almost got away without losing that category too. But,
But he did. He got one on Sunday
worse.
anyway. Yeah, no, I mean, the fact that he ends up getting that save on a Sunday from Bednar, where, how many saves I've been able to collect consistently. I mean, it's been like at least 5 to 7. Now I can figure that this would happen eventually, but like to lose it by 1, like if I'm gonna lose it, let me get killed in that stat, So
Yeah.
little things like that kind of bothered me this week. But in general, I played against the guy that was outplaying me, and that was watching my every move. And I was not able to gain momentum. What needs to be considered that people might not know until you play Bobby is, and it might be a different case when they actually are, the scenario might be different. But while I was playing him, the guy is playing with 22 men on the roster, with clogging 2 IL spots and then 4 more guys on the IL that are clogging his lineup. So what he did with what he had was incredible. And the most amazing one, relief appearances, 22 relief appearances, not to mention he had some on the bench. And like every day, it was like 4 to 5. It was insane to keep up with.
Yeah, he is quite a difficult manager to keep under wraps this year. He's done an incredible job getting 13 over 500 in the first act, as you call it. Here he sits in 5th place. This week on his bench, Benjamin, he went 4 for 11.
Huh. Is that 388?
It's 364 with 4 runs, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The 4 strikeouts are the only thing that really play. And those are 3 guys that he benched on Sunday to stay out of that category. So good job, Bob. You nailed that as well. He used 8 ads this week. Ivan Herrera, 2 for 4 with a run, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts, dropping Gary Sanchez, Michael Soroka, and Bailey Falter all on Monday. He had a David Fry, went 3 for 3 with a homer, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. He had his personal phone number, texted him, was like, thanks, dude, appreciate your help. Then Matt Sauer, an inning, a homer, a strikeout, an 18 and a 2 in a relief appearance, dropping Ivan Herrera. He had a Chase Anderson, 2 innings, 3 walks, a strikeout, a 13.50, and a 3.50, a bad relief appearance, dropping Angel Zerpa. He picked up Chris Paddock and Jose Soriano for starts that they were going to have on Sunday, but they looked like they were just bluffs because he never played them and he dropped them before the first pitch, dropping Chase Anderson and Matt Sauer. He had Eniel De Los Santos and Ronnie Marinarasos to the NA, Eniel De Los Santos for the Sunday night game that he ended up benching him anyway.
Yeah, that was definitely a bluff or a just in case. Let me make sure that Ben doesn't get him so that he's closer to winning relief appearances. The only thing I don't understand is why then not drop him the same day? If you only used 8 ads, like he could have just used another one and
Mm-hmm.
and dropped him on his bench. Instead, he ends up dropping him on Monday. I mean, you could have, like, now if he's at a point where he's close to maximizing his amount of ads, like that's an ad he could have had on Sunday. Like once the game's already over, even though he's benched, you could still drop him and make an ad. So that was one that I was a little surprised by, but that has nothing to do with this current week. But it was just
No.
one little thing that he could have probably cleaned up.
Yeah, and maybe it doesn't matter in the long run either, depending upon the outcome of this week. But just one of those small little interesting moves. His MVP this week is Alex Bregman, 360 with a 414, 6 runs, 4 doubles, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. 2 errors is a bit ugly as he did lose the category very badly, but otherwise, and a really strong week from Alex Bregman. The least valuable hitter is a guy I was told that I couldn't have in a trade involving Bryce Harper. That's Jake Cronenworth, 188 with a 278, an RBI, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and an error.
With one bomb on the bench.
With a bomb on the bench. The Cy Young this week, I'm giving it to Reese Olson. Real nice piece there. 8 innings, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 0.38. His Cy Young goes to Michael King, 5 1/3, a loss, a bomb, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 10-13, and a 188. Benjamin, for you on your bench this week, you go 9 for 41.
Oh my God. Well, 9 for 45 with 200. 263.
It's a 220.
220.
Yeah,
Of course.
It's of course a 220. With 5 runs, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, a steal, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts, and the error. The 7 strikeouts, of course, are what's important here, and the stolen base on the bench that you mentioned with Luis Arraez on Sunday. Looks like only 5 moves this week from you, buddy. You got the Mauricio Dubon ad 4 for 5 with a run and an RBI the day you picked him up, and he has been just white hot for you recently. You dropped Alex Wood. You picked up John Brebbia, an inning and a third, a loss, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 20-25, and a 3 and a relief appearance. Somebody was very mad that you got that relief appearance. So was it worth it?
No, it was not. It was absolutely not worth it to stay up that long and pick him up with Mauricio Dubon simultaneously. I had to do it for one of them anyway, but man, all that guy did was make it harder for me to win this week. If he doesn't, if I don't pick him up and that relief appearance goes to somebody else, this week all of a sudden like looks a little bit different because those losses were very close going in. And yeah, and obviously pitching was something that I was fighting for late in the week. And yeah, this guy just made it that much more difficult.
We also we already got your thoughts on the trade here, John Schreiber and Clayton Kershaw for Max Kepler and Jason Dominguez. You added Nick Martinez for John Brebbia, 5 innings, a win, 4 strikeouts, nothing earned in a relief appearance in LA against the Dodgers. Very nice.
Thank you.
Dropped Nick Martinez for Alex Faedo, who was serviceable in his relief appearance. You dropped John Schreiber for JP Sears, 4 1/3, a loss, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, an 8.31 and a 1.62 in Kansas City. So pushed your luck, and there's the whammy button.
Yeah. It looked closer if I don't do that, but I needed to ensure strikeouts. And there was a nice little move going on with Bobby where he picked up Paddock to face Bibby, and he And he also picked up this guy Soriano, I believe, who was pitching on Sunday, and it ended up being a bluff. So he wanted to make sure that I started my guy, and then he surrendered innings and wins and strikeouts basically. But it was a nice move because it forced he picked up the Paddock and Soriano on Saturday, and he's got Bibby, so he's already got three starters with innings getting close, strikeouts going. Shit, all right, I have to get up. I got to stay up till 3 a.m. Pick up one guy that has a scheduled start that's at least a little bit more protected on the time. So I get a guy that's a little bit later, and yeah, it ends up being a little bit better for me. I'm able to grab those three when you know that you're not going to win a lot of pitching categories. You try to go for innings, strikeouts, and wins. And obviously, wins is the most challenging one to get.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Your MVP this week, who is it?
Man, it's hard to pick because they were all so bad. Um, I don't know. I guess Soto, but I really don't
Yeah, it's
know.
still Cary Grant, man. Just keep looking at Cary Grant. 292 with a 393, 6 runs, two doubles, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. Your least valuable hitter.
It could be anybody. I guess it would be Nimmo.
That's right. 063 with a 211, 3 runs, a double, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. The Cy Young this week.
You could say it's Nick Martinez, but I would probably say Jack Flaherty.
Okay, like Nestor Cortez too, 7 innings in his shutout of
Oh,
six
yeah,
strikeouts with an
fair enough.
086. And the Cy Young we're gonna give to JP Sears. We talked about him already. He was
Oh, I
not
don't
good
think
with
that
his
counts.
831.
We got to put it on somebody that was like on the team doing stuff. Like that was just like to protect stuff. I mean, if anything, I would give him credit for at least eating a little bit.
Yeah.
To me, um, Yarborough is pretty horrible. Oh, freaking Kyle Gibson with his win. I got three wins on a Friday
Mm-hmm.
from Nestor, John Means, and Gibson. But this guy, 6 innings in his win, a home run given up, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 750 on a 183 whip.
Not
Yeah,
great. Not great, but
no,
he was fortunate that the offense picked him up and he was
yeah,
able to eat enough.
yeah, and Brebbia, I mean, this guy actually set me behind throughout all of it. So like the Sears loss was after the fact. I lost that by two. Like
Mhm.
Rebbia's loss put me in the hole and had to have me try and like work my way towards 42 innings. It was very tough. Um, but you look at you look at Bobby's week, all right, and you just look at it in a whole, all right. You just it, you're not. It's so hard to compete with these numbers every day. Okay, so on day
Wait.
one, he bats 400. He has a 526 on base percentage, a 526 on a Monday, 6 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, no steals, 8 walks. My team walks a decent amount. He had 8 walks on a Monday, 5 strikeouts and an error. That was Monday.
Mhm.
Then he tried to tone it down a little bit. So he had a 259 average, a 310 on base, 2 runs, 2 doubles, still knocked two out of the park, 3 RBIs, one of the stolen bases, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, no error. Okay, so he was somewhat vincible there. Then it creeps up a little bit, a 280 average, 321 on base, 7 runs, 2 doubles, two out of the park again, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, non-strikeouts, and an error. Thursday, you know that light day that we have? Well, he
Mhm.
played two guys and he went 3 for 7 with those two guys. 3 runs, a double, 2 walks, a strikeout, a 429 average, and a 556 on base. And then comes the weekend where you're thinking, okay, like maybe at this point, this guy should be able to cool down. It's been a little bit too much. So on Friday, he decided to cool down to the tone of a 364 average, 389 on base, 12 for 33 is 4 runs, 2 doubles, 2 home runs again, 5 RBIs, a stolen base, 2 walks. 6 strikeouts and 4 ugly errors. Yes, the defense was not pretty on this team, but who the hell cares when you're doing that every day? On Saturday, he had 26 at bats. He went with a 308 average, a 471. He hasn't done, he did 526. Now he's going 471, 6 runs, 3 doubles. Here's another triple for you. And then 4 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 6 walks, 5 strikeouts. Yeah, so 308 and a 471 on Saturday. He had a calm Sunday. He didn't play a lot of guys. He only played what looks like 4 players, but those 4 players combined for
Very
4 hits
huge
over
day.
13, 308 average, 471 on base, 3 runs, a double, 4 walks out of 4 players, 3 strikeouts on a Sunday, on a light Sunday. Joe, I've never experienced consistency like this. Not to mention, if you look on Sunday, if he ends up playing everybody, Sal Frelick, he was 1 for 2 with a run. Kyle Tucker was 2 for 5 with 2 runs. Jake Cronenworth had a 2-run homer. Like, this was insane. I've never seen this before. Like, I've never actually been on the other side of such offensive dominance day to day throughout an entire week.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch. It was incredible to see how bad it was getting, because it was getting kind of really ugly there toward the end of the week. There was a 17-2 I saw at some point, and Bobby was absolutely just crushing all the way across the board. I'm glad you were able to make 4 out of it. It's not the worst beating we'll see this week, and it's hopefully the last beating like this you see this season. But for Bobby, incredible week. Incredible week. Go ahead.
Incredible. The fact that he did it with 22. And
Mm-hmm.
then another thing that needs to be noted, and you're going to have to give me a moment just to do it, but like the fact that he could stay ahead on everything, that like I couldn't even keep pace. So one thing that's important to know is he had a relief appearance on the bench that he couldn't fit in because he had all 6 relief pitcher spots filled up and the P spot filled up. Guess what? 7 relief appearances on Monday. Every single one of the RPs, including the P, every one of them got in, including 1 RP on the bench for a third of an inning and a strikeout. At that point, Joe, when he hit like that at 400 and a 526 out of 30 at bats and got a triple, the 10 RBIs, 6, I kind of already knew. But when the 7 relief appearances happen on a Monday, you're already set to go. You can't do better than that, really. And I was just thinking, you know what? Not only were they good, it's 12 innings, a 0.75 ERA, and a 0.83 whip.
That's
Not
pretty
to
damn
mention,
good.
not to mention 2 saves on a Monday. So like 7 relief appearances on a Monday because like if they're not coming in 2 days in a row, they're coming in every other day. So you're on pace to get them pretty frequently throughout the week, even if you keep the same guys and not do reliever roulette through free agency. 7. It was something that kind of just, I was just like, yeah, now I might get crushed because like I'm not even necessarily win in the categories that I'm typically good at. Strikeouts by a batter, on base percentage, walks, relief appearances, saves. I won none of them. I tied in strikeouts by a batter, but it was just tough from go and just never really got better. Monday was rough, but it was just like by Friday when he's batting like 380, I'm just like, all right, this is hilarious. I'm happy that I'm hitting like crap right now, man, because a 222 average and a 284 on base with the group that I put together, a 284 on base over 7 days, like that's horrible. It's horrendous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you're talking about, man. That's a nice segue for us to jump to my matchup against Adam Lowenstein. Listen, I know exactly what you're talking about when you're getting your butt whooped offensively and you just say, you know what? I just hope I hit like crap the whole week so that I can do better next week. I know exactly what you're talking about. A 189 batting average, a 283 on base percentage, only 3 homers. I'm glad I got walks. I'm glad I tied doubles. I'm happy to get out of here with 9 this week because it was a rough go. It was a rough go offensively. It was 11-10 coming in. Adam had a 2 doubles advantage, and I tied that category. I had a 1 stolen base advantage, and Adam flipped that. So again, 11-10 coming in, 11-9 is the finish. Close categories. I win by the save. Thank you, Josh Hader. Adam wins by 3 runs, a triple, and a stolen base. We tied in doubles. For Adam on his bench this week, he goes 3 for 23.
Jeez. One 177.
130. 130 with 3 runs, a homer, 5 RBIs, a walk, and 10 strikeouts. He used 7 moves this week. He added Randy Vasquez for a terrible start against Colorado, dropping Jose Urena. He picked up Ben Lively for a serviceable start and a win over 5 innings in Texas and dropped Randy Vasquez. He picked up Cooper Criswell for a bad start at home against Tampa, dropping Ben Lively. He picked up Garrett Clevenger for a clean relief appearance and the only save he got this week. He dropped Aroldis Chapman. He picked up Trevor Richards for a win, 4 1/3. Oh no, it was a waiver claim. I'm sorry, it was a waiver claim, 4 1/3, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 623 and a 138 against Philadelphia, dropping Aaron Savale. He added Ty Block, 3 innings, a loss, a homer, a walk, 3 strikeouts at 18 and 267 against San Francisco. That was bad. Dropping Cooper Criswell. And he had Kevin Millar, who he did not put in his lineup Saturday or Sunday, for Esteury Ruiz. His MVP this week is going to be Brian Reynolds. .367 with a 387, 3 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 steals, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. With a shout out to Alec Boehm's 10 RBIs that he had. That dude just annoyed the shit out of me this week because obviously I have the rest of that Phillies lineup, but Alec Boehm is just doing all the damage. The least valuable hitter is Riley Green, 250 with a 250, 2 runs, a double, 2 RBIs, a steal, and 5 strikeouts. Really, everybody hit on this team, and everybody hit at least a little bit because he ended up with a 273 average, a 337 on base. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when every single dude hits about 240 to 275, like it's annoying. It's annoying.
Yeah, I got it.
The Cy Young this week is Nick Pivetta. 231 ERA and 043 whip, 11 2/3, a win, 3 bombs, 16 strikeouts. The Cy Yuck this week is both Block and Vasquez. They were both terrible in their particular innings, or their outings rather. But I tell you what, like Adam put the heat on me offensively. And there was a point where his ERA was pretty low, and I was like, can I just get something to go my way, please? I just needed this pitching to stay this way. I'm glad I was able to do what I did on the pitching side.
Extremely impressive.
For my bench this week, Benji, I go 3 for 21.
1 for 7, huh? 156.
143, pretty close. 3 runs, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and an error. The 3 runs I would have had to be perfect. The double certainly does play. That was on the 15th. That makes that Wednesday. It was probably one of my second basemen. Otherwise, nothing else plays.
Either Geloff
or Julian.
One of those guys. Let's see.
Unless, of course, it was either Newt Bar or Marsh. That could have been the option, too.
You didn't bench out like on Sunday or anything. Yeah, I found it. It was Julian.
No.
Julian 1 for 4 with a double. You went with Zach Geloff 0 for 2, a walk and a strikeout. It's going to be hard to get everybody in there. You got tough matchups there, I guess. Julian against the Yankees. The Twins never beat the Yankees, so like you'd assume like bench the Twins hitters.
Yeah, and here's the thing: like nobody was hitting, so it's not like that 1 for 4, other than that double, is going to do anything for me anyway.
No, you didn't know.
You know, I hit 189. It was a hideous Bryce Harper, 333 with a 345, 6 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 6 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 6 strikeouts with an error. The least valuable hitter is Edward Julian, who had 2 hits all week, an 077 with an 077 and 5 strikeouts. The Cy Young goes to Framber Valdez, 7 innings, a win, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, nothing earned, in 057. He was not good tonight, but he was great this week. The Cy Young goes to either Calvin Fauché or Stephen Kolek, 2 guys that I streamed for their relief appearance and their SP eligibility, and they weren't great. They weren't good. They were shit. That's okay.
For Kolek, it's an inning and a third with a home run, giving up a strikeout, 20.25 ERA and a 3.75 WHIP. And who was the other one you picked? Calvin Fauché.
Calvin Fauché.
Oh, Calvin Fauché. Not Colin Fauché.
Not Colin Fauché. Calvin Fauché.
Because I knew you had Fauché at one time, so I'm like,
I drafted Fauché.
Okay, Fauché. Not even an inning. 2/3 of an inning, a walk and a strikeout, a 27 ERA and a 6 WHIP. Did you do your moves though? Your ads and pickups? Did I miss it?
Did I miss it? Yeah, I sure did. I sure skipped over it.
That's okay.
That's all right. I used all 10. Started off with adding Alex Faedo for a bad relief appearance, dropping Josh Winkowski. I added Joey Wentz for 2 innings of a clean relief appearance with 2 strikeouts, dropping Alex Faedo. I dropped Oswaldo Cabrera for Zach Geloff over 4 with 3 strikeouts a day. I picked him up. That's awesome. I used my waiver claim to drop Mitch Haniger to pick up George Springer. 1 for 4, a double, a steal, and a walk the day I picked him up. I dropped Jackson Churio for Brandon Marsh, 1 for 4 with an RBI, a walk, and a strikeout. Picked up Victor Gonzalez for Elvis Peguero and dropped Stephen Kolek. Picked up Jacob Latz, who I'm still waiting to get into a ball game. Still waiting. Any day now. He can play for the Texas Rangers. They warm him up every game I watch, and he never gets into the game.
I've been there. It's so irritating.
Mm-hmm. Dropped Victor Gonzalez. Picked up Caleb Ferguson. Got a clean relief appearance there. Dropped Joey Wentz for Calvin Fauché for that bad relief appearance. Dropped Fauché for Spencer Arrighetti, and then dropped him back to free agency after the start of the game. It was indeed a bluff.
So where do we start? I mean, do we start with George Springer or just the fact that the bats were as cold as they were? And you've had batting averages over a week that's like this before, so
yeah,
it could be just a little cold spell.
And I feel like it's going to happen again. The team is cold. Team has been cold for a minute, but that's all right. We're gonna heat up. George Springer is not going to hit 200 all season. He's not that kind of dude. So I'm believing that he's going to hit somewhere in the 240s to 250s by the end of the season, which means he's going to do all right from now until then in order to get that batting average up. Everything over 200 when I got him is in fact profit. So this is one of the great buy lows of the season.
Yeah. Do you like the team?
No.
Okay,
No.
so all right, so let's try to take your bias of how you feel about the Phillies or how you personally feel about Machado the person or whatever. Like
Mhm.
if those kinds of things didn't exist, then would you like the team?
I suppose I don't think it has enough stolen bases to compete there on a regular basis. Um, but I like the on base skill that this team has, and I like the power that exists here. I just got to see it start to come to life because right now Harper's the only guy who's really hitting on a consistent basis. Losing Trey Turner certainly hurts, and that's why I don't have the stolen bases that I'm really looking for. And I've got two platoons at second base and center field. Not a single one of the four of them is running away with the job.
Mhm.
So I'm just a little annoyed with some of it. And yes, my personal bias against the Phillies and Bryce Harper is really what fuels the I don't like this group.
Yeah.
Pitching side, though, I love my pitching. I really,
Uh,
really do. I
can
love
you
my
not
pitching.
how can you not love this pitching? I mean, everyone is very solid. You have a what a defined number one, number two, number three, and everyone falls in line once you get Garrett Cole back. The Josh Hader move finally, and it was going to impact at some point. We see the first impact here, which could have been a tie in that category. You get the win by one, that one save from Josh Hader. You can argue that this guy is the Cy Young of the week for you for that reason, but it can't be just because a 198 ERA over 50 innings is just beautiful. Like you played incredibly on the pitching side, and it seemed like there was no chance for Adam to have a blowout against you because you were going to be so strong on that side of the ball, even if you were struggling offensively. That was huge.
Yeah, I could afford to hit as terribly as I was, and I just kept saying all week, like, I'm gonna be okay. I know I'm not gonna get blown out, but I feel like I'm gonna lose this week because I'm not hitting well enough.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but I think you did what you were supposed to do,
Mhm.
and that was key just to get nine. The concern here is on the other side. Adam Lowenstein is dead last in ERA in our league. He has a 4.53. That is the worst all around. As far as the whip goes, yeah, dead last again. A 1.37 whip, a 456, a 453 ERA. If he's going to be in the bottom of the league in these two categories, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult. He also leads the league with the most home runs given up in the entire league. 70 bombs given up. Only second to last, 15th, is Jason Ashby, 65. Still five more for Adam.
Yeah,
70 over 7 weeks. We're talking about really like 10 home runs given up per week. Like that's pretty
it's a
tough, man.
lot.
Like
It's a
it's just
lot,
he's
and it's throwing a lot of innings. I would assume that he's going to be toward the top of the innings pitched list. Then,
Uh, you would think that, but he's actually only fifth on that list.
wow,
So that's the
yeah,
problem. Like if you're gonna get dumped on in those stats, like you should probably be better in others. And no, man, like in strikeouts, he's also fifth in the league.
hmm.
So I mean, I realize it's 7 weeks, but it's just some things to glare at when you're
Yeah,
like at the way bottom. It's a little bit tougher, but
yeah,
he does have a strong offense. Um, he tends to be like kind of in the middle as far as totals go in those categories, not really like blowing anything away. Um, he's number one in the league in batting average as of right now. Pretty substantial. He's got a 278 average. Second best is myself with a 265. But 278 versus 265, like over that many at bats, is pretty significant difference. So I give him credit
Yeah.
in that. How funny, average and on base percentage as well. He's number one in the league with a 359 on base. Second
Wow.
best is Bobby Russo with a 346 on base. That's also a significant difference. So
Mm-hmm.
of the counting stats, yeah, kind of in the middle, but averaging on base, number one. As far as pitching goes, ERA and whip, dead last.
Dead last.
Fascinating. This is an interesting team. Obviously has some glaring holes that need to be addressed. Might not be the type of manager that's going to do it. He's sort of probably just going to go with the process for right now, unless a trade falls in his lap. But I give him a lot of credit. He's chipping away here. He's hovering around 500, which is what he did
Mm-hmm.
last year. And for like a second year player, of course, 2005, the 1 year when everything was different, but basically his second year in the league, and he continues to develop. He continues to hang with really, really amazing managers. Just the fact that he's now has 2 wins against Joe Schubert without taking a loss in these 2 years already, that's something to hang your hat on. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I will see you in week 22, Adam, and hopefully get my first win over you as we head toward the playoffs. But again, hats off to you. Congratulations. It was a great win for you. And hopefully you keep chipping away, and we'll see you when it matters in August and September. Benji, let's move on to the next matchup here, and it is your brother Ari and Kostas Paragios. We were watching this one intently on Sunday night because there was some stuff happening. Maybe we could dive into it right away. But the first thing you want to notice is that there's 1 tick on the batting average and 1 tick on the on base percentage. Absolutely incredible. And they're flipped. Like one got one, the other got the other.
Love that.
Yep. It was 9-9 going in to Sunday. Triples were tied. Kostas got the Sunday triple. Stolen bases, Kostas had a 1 stolen base advantage, and Ari got that. Walks were tied, and Kostas got that. And Ari had an advantage of 21 ticks in the on base percentage, and Kostas sniped that out from underneath him. 9-9 going in, 12-8 coming out. Close categories. Ari wins by the 1 tick on the batting average, a loss, and 2 home runs given up by a pitcher. Kostas wins by the double, the triple, the walk, the 1 tick on the on base percentage, the error, and 3 wins.
And a save.
And a save. And a save. How many stats was that? 7?
If you get 7 if you count the 3 wins
Yeah.
that he won tight.
That's insane.
Enormous.
They tied in stolen bases. It's absolutely enormous because unfortunately, Ari's the type of manager that I think everyone needs to beat when he's on their schedule now.
Well said. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So any amount that you can get like over 500 is enormous. And
Mm-hmm.
you can argue that maybe Costa should be getting a couple of more here, but the fact that it was a 9-9 tie or the possibility that Ari could have won this,
Mm-hmm.
you get out of there with the +4 and you feel decent about it.
Yep. He's not going to feel decent about his bench, though. It was an 18 for 68.
$354.
265. 14 runs, 4 doubles, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, 4 steals, 4 walks, 21 strikeouts, and an error. That's Kostas. Did he play to Ari?
I think it's more of that he knows that Ari isn't going to be making ads regularly so that he doesn't have to work hard to get certain stats like innings, like relief appearances. So he can hang with a big bench because his opponent isn't going to compete in those stats.
Just it seems like this is a lot on the bench this week, and for a guy who doesn't usually play with that large a bench,
Right,
just
right.
interesting.
I listen. I would say the time to be playing with a large bench is when you're playing against Ari. As long as
Sure.
you're not going to be sacrificing stats that are go and get him stats like innings pitched, like strikeouts, like relief
Relief
appearances,
appearances.
wins, like things you can go out and get yourself. Then
Mhm.
then you're fine. As I mean, that's how I typically play against Ari as well. I mean, I've seen it before, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious how he's going to do it going forward, though.
Mhm. Kostas used 8 moves this week. He added Ben Rorvet 1 for 3 with a run, a double, and a walk, dropping Dylan Lee. He added Joey Loperfido 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer, dropping Fernando Cruz, and added Key Brian Hayes to his IL, dropping Andy Pajes. He added Andrew Heaney to it was an okay start against LA, the Angels. Dropped MJ Melendez. He adds Fernando Cruz for Andrew Heaney. Ivan Herrera, 1 for 4 with a run, an RBI, and a strikeout for Andrew Nardi. And Luis Matos, 3 for 5, 2 runs, a double, a homer, 6 RBIs for Joey Loperfido. Oh, and he added Aroldis Chapman using his waiver claim. Got a clean relief appearance for Heimer Candelario. He used his waiver claim on Aroldis Chapman. Okay. Okay. The MVP this week is Bryson Stott. He had 316 with a 481 on base percentage, 8 runs, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 5 walks, no strikeouts. Good job. Good job. The least valuable hitter is Spencer Torkelson, who didn't get a hit for him and had a strikeout.
Wow.
Yep. The Cy Young is Brandon Pfaadt. 7 innings, a homer, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 1.29 and an 0.57. With a shout out to Tariq Skubal and Brady Singer's 15 strikeouts.
Jeez.
Yep. The Cy Young goes to Andrew Heaney. For Ari on his bench this week, here we go, Benji. 32 for 105.
That's not brutal. 32 for 105. 303.
Oh, he almost had it. It's a 305. It's a 305. 17 runs, 8 doubles, 8 homers, 20 RBIs, 6 walks, and 24 strikeouts. The 8 doubles play. He lost that category by 1. He lost walks by 1, and he had 6 of those on the bench. There they are. He did not make a move. And so his MVP this week is Rafi Devers, 276 with a 323, 9 runs, a double, 5 homers, 7 RBIs, 2 walks, 7
Did you
strikeouts,
say
and an
5
error.
home runs?
5 home runs, 5 bombs, 7 RBIs.
Okay.
Rafi Devers. The least valuable hitter somehow is his teammate, Cedene Rafaela, an 050 with an 095, 2 runs, a homer, an RBI, a steal, a walk, 3 strikeouts, and 2 errors. Seems like the home run was the only hit he got this week. The Cy Young goes to Sean Manaea, who got him over the minimum this week, thankfully. 11 innings, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 245, and a 1. And the Cy Young is Alexis the Other Diaz, 2 1/3, 2 losses, a bomb, 3 walks, a strikeout, a 1543, and a 3. Benjamin, what's up with your brother?
I don't know, man. I'm grateful for those 2 or whatever innings that Diaz put in, or else he doesn't make the minimum here as he gets 43 and a third. You know, I think he's just busy. I think he's just busy with everything going on. He loves the league. He loves competing in the league. It's just I think he knows that he can't keep up with this kind of competition right now, that it's been this intense now for the last couple of years. And 2022 is a special year. I mean, we had a lot of awesome managers in the league in 2022, right? I mean, Jimmy Dunlap and Chris Levy are the finalists in that year. And he still made the playoffs, and he had been a playoff team every single even year since 2012, the two finals in 2014 and 2016, and yeah, and he even made it in 2015 as well. Not to mention like the odd years that fall in that he. I mean, this is a guy that's made the playoffs a lot and been a great manager in our league, but just over this last year and now almost a half, it's just been really awful. It's just awful management, not what I would call hard work and competing. There's been things where it's like on Sunday you'll see him bench starters where he knows he has nothing to gain, like it's tied in walks given up or winning by one in home runs given up, and he benches them out. Like he knows to do that. Like he wouldn't just play guys, even like if it would cost them stats. So he's doing certain things. You can tell that he's switching guys in his lineup 6 out of 7 days. He's pretty on top of it. So he's doing what you would call the bare minimum. But like we talked about earlier when we were talking about having to beat this guy when he's on your schedule, you got to beat this guy when he's on your schedule because it's one of the bottom feeder teams. It's one of the 16 teams that you don't I should say 1 out of 15 teams that you don't have to worry about when they're coming up and that they're going to make a run for a playoff. There's just those
Mhm.
bottom feeder teams that are just going to be filling up spots at the bottom, and I think Ari is one of these teams.
And as for Costas, how are you feeling about his season going forward?
I'm not optimistic right now. It's nice that he's gotten a couple of wins now against me, against my brother. He's beaten the Nismans in back-to-back weeks. He's had a couple of nice weeks, but I truly don't believe in the roster top to bottom. I think the starting pitching is nice. I think the trade that we'll have to get into next week only depletes him even more in a strength that he could have had against a lot of opponents, and now he doesn't. It's a weakness. Yeah, Costas is. It's a. I feel like it's a good team, but there's just some I don't know what if it's like consistency or like you haven't seen him like really knocking anybody out like pretty good. I don't see him like being very dangerous in anything in particular. I guess in ERA he's 5-2. He's got a 5-2 against a lot of opponents in some of these pitching categories.
Mhm.
5-2 in walks given up, a 5-2 in strikeouts, 5-2 in ERA, 5-2 in WHIP. So he's been doing pretty decently against opponents on the pitching side, but I mean, it's also week 7. I think as he's going to grind into the more challenging matchups as he gets deeper into the schedule, it's going to be even harder for him, I think. That's just my opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not confident in the group in general.
All right. Well, we'll see how Costas does as the season shakes out. I'm concerned this far as well, and I don't necessarily love the trade for him that he just pulled off. But if he's happy with it, then so be it. So be it.
Oh, and then when we wanted to talk about how crazy this thing was at the end of the matchup.
Oh, right. Well, we were watching the Sunday night baseball game between Atlanta and the Padres. And each of these guys has not just a player in the lineup, but one of their key contributors and superstar players were in the lineup, and batting average was back and forth. Matt Olson and Fernando Tatis get up in the late innings, and batting average is flipping back and forth, back and forth.
As is on base percentage.
Right, right. And all of these things matter until they didn't because Fernando Tatis never saw the plate in late innings because who was it that grounded into the double play? Oh
Oh
no,
no, it
Ozuna.
was
Ozuna.
Ozuna for Atlanta kept Olson on deck,
Mhm.
and given that pitching beats hitting most of the time, there was a chance that all of a sudden Ari would grab on base percentage,
Mhm.
or Olson could have drawn a walk and then nothing happens, or he could have gotten a hit and then batting average flips in favor of Costa. So yeah, it was really fun just seeing those two stats just continue to go back and forth with Tatis and Olson on that final game, getting Ari trying to get that Sunday night stat, and he got one of them. But yeah, this was huge for Costas at least to get one. If you look at it, the fact that this could have been 11-9, the fact that he could have lost this matchup, and
Mhm.
to have to sweat it out at the end. That was fun.
Yes, sweating it out at the end, but still getting the 12-8. You've got to walk away happy that you beat Ari, that you took care of business when you're supposed to. Now you just got to keep doing that and taking care of business going
Yeah.
forward.
And I want to credit him on the fact that, okay, 18-10 in relief appearances, like he won that going away, knowing that like he didn't have to work hard to get them. They used
Right.
8 ads, but like it was, it wasn't necessarily delegated for that primarily. Whip, a 105 whip, how about 64 strikeouts to combat the 45 strikeouts on Ari's side, 5 wins over 2 wins, and 63 and two-third innings. And we talked about Ari only 43 and a third inning, barely getting over. So uh,
Mhm.
Kostas did what he needed to do on working hard against a guy that isn't going to work as hard against you.
Yep. He worked against a guy that didn't do anything. He did not make an ad or change his team in any roster construction type way. So it's just take care of business as it is in front of you. Let's get to the final matchup this week, my friend, and it is Cody Piatt defeating Jay Ferraro 12-9. Are you surprised by this one, Ben?
Yeah, this has to be one of the biggest shockers of the week. I know that trade dropped in there for Cody right before the game started. So you're thinking, oh, now Cody has some momentum going. He's got some new guys, little fun pieces that he can fill into the lineup and help him out. But it's still Jay Ferraro, and I just did not expect it ending up this way. This was a really fun matchup, though. It basically went back and forth the entire week of who had the lead until it finally settled in at 12-9. But amazing to watch. Arguably the matchup of the week.
Yeah, 12-9 coming in on Saturday. And guess what? Nothing changed on Sunday. 12-9 coming out. So, close categories this week. Cody wins by 3 runs, a stolen base, 3 errors, 3 wins, a loss, and 2 walks by a pitcher. Jay wins by 2 doubles, 3 homers, 2 RBIs, a save, 2 home runs given up by a pitcher, and a relief appearance. They did not tie in anything. For Cody on his bench this week, he goes 6 for 29.
Wow. 208.
207. You are on fire, Benjamin. 6 runs, a homer, an RBI, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts, and none of it plays. His Now we did talk about the big trade that went through Ellie De La Cruz, Tyler O'Neill, and Yainer Diaz for Vinny Pasquantino, AJ Minter, and Michael Harris. We talked about that last week as the show was opening, so go back and check that out if you want to hear what we have to say about that. Um, he did add Spencer Turnbull for Trevor Larnach, who was bad in his relief appearance. He dropped Turnbull for Rafael Montero in a clean relief appearance. He dropped Joe Adell for Brenton Doyle on a waiver claim, 0 for 4 with a walk and 3 strikeouts. He dropped Brian Bayo for Phil Maton, clean relief appearance, and dropped Gabriel Moreno for Aaron Bummer, who did not appear. That was five ads this week. His MVP this week, once again, is Gunnar Henderson. 263 with a 364 on base, 4 runs, the triple, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, a stolen base, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Corbin Carroll, maybe. He had 2 triples, but he also led the league in that department and had 5 of them this week. So how important is it? He did hit 105 with a 227 on base. 2 runs, 2 triples, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Not great. The Cy Young is Luis Heel, who had a really breakout performance for the Yankees. 6 innings, a win, a walk, 14 strikeouts, a 150 and a 1. And the Cy Young is Bailey Ober. 4 innings, a loss, a bomb, a walk, 4 strikeouts, 11.25 and a 2.25. Over on Jay's side, Benjamin, he goes 2 for 6.
Nice. Okay, so we got a 333.
That is correct. With a double, an RBI, a walk, and a strikeout. None of that plays. And he used 8 ads this week. Max Meyer for Nick Birdie on his NA. Masataka Yoshida and for Caleb Ferguson on his IL. Caleb Thielbar for Jung Hoo Lee, who is having season-ended surgery. Chris Stratton for Nolan Shanuel. He had a bad relief appearance. And then was part of that big 3-team trade that you orchestrated with Henry Collins, receiving Randy Arozarena and Nathaniel Lowe for Michael Kopech and Clayton Kershaw. Gavin Williams gets added to the IL for Davis Schneider. Joe Mantiply gets added for Chris Stratton, who is then dropped for Justin Slayton, who had a bad relief appearance. So Joe Mantiply was a waste to add Justin Slayton, who was bad. And finally dropped Justin Slayton for Wensiel Perez, who I have a note here. Enjoy that guy. Signed Jason Ashby. 1 for 3 with a run, a steal, and a walk. I don't know what a Wensiel Perez is, but this is more than the second time I've said his name in pickups. Somebody tell me what this dude is all about. Jay's MVP this week, Adley Rutschman, 353 with a 389, 5 runs, a double, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter, hey, it's Nathaniel Lowe. Let's shit on Nathaniel Lowe, Ben. 130 with a 222, 2 runs, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, and an error. Will you ever own Nathaniel Lowe again?
Absolutely not. I mean, I talked about how inconsistent of a player he is. There's going to be some bright spots with him. He hits a lot of doubles, but when it's bad, it just feels like he's clogging up an important spot, either first base or utility. You need to have decent production out of that spot.
No doubt. No doubt. Ben, is the MVP, is the Cy Young Shota Imanaga in his 12 innings of shutout ball with 15 strikeouts, or is it Paul Skeens with his 6 innings, a win, and 11 strikeouts of shutout ball?
Or is it whatever Ranger Suarez did this week?
5 innings of shutout ball and a win.
Right.
It's a good staff.
I mean,
it's a really good staff.
It's just dangerous, man. Everyone pitches well, and if you're going to get to the 42 with like a 180 ERA each week, it's going to be really, really tough to beat. You're going to have to be almost perfect on offense to beat Jay. And now he's added another closer, so you're not going to beat him in saves most of the time. It's just
and just makes it easier for him to get to the 42 without having to throw that extra starter because Jordan Romano is going to get me 3 or 4 innings a week.
Right, maybe, yeah. I mean, does he even have a Cy Yuck? I guess.
Justin Slayton's bad relief appearance that he took the loss in a 36 ERA and a 5 WHIP, but
the biggest surprise, obviously, is the win from Cody. I think
it
surprised us all, and it's no disrespect for Cody. It's just a new player in this league to step up and have that kind of a week against arguably the best day-to-day manager in our league. It's extremely impressive. One thing to note that I'm sure frustrates Jay, and obviously the trade lands in Cody's lap on Monday, but Ellie De La Cruz had 5 steals by himself. Cody wins that category 7-6. He wins it by 1, with Cruz having 5 out of the 7. Not to mention 4 runs by himself. He wins that category by 3. So he needed that kind of production from Ellie De La Cruz as well. Those 12 to 14 strikeouts he got didn't really matter. He was going to lose by a bunch of strikeouts anyway. So that was just a major trade that actually ended up impacting this matchup for a couple of stats. So that's one thing that you could argue. All right, this trade turned the table. Maybe Jay wins this match if this trade happens a week later.
The 74 strikeouts by a batter that Cody put up this week, you think it's a record? It's not. It's 76 for the record in this league, and I did it back in 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Ugly number. ugly
Yeah,
number.
I would say so.
But these ERAs are pristine. What an incredible week for each of these guys. Strong work. I don't have any fear about these guys being in the hunt this year. This is going to be a really fun race with these guys involved. And let's see what act number two from these guys really brings us.
Yeah, it's hard to say right now. I mean, you got they could go either way, right? They could be guys that are just playing in the middle the whole year, or guys that are just dominating other teams, or one of them goes this way when the other one goes this way. It's really hard to say. And one thing that I'm realizing more than ever is it's not always how hard and how well you play, it's who you're playing against.
No
And
doubt.
you could play it as fine and as perfectly as possible. If you run into a juggernaut, it really doesn't matter how well you play. You might get another stat here or there, but you're not going to get the win on that particular week. And
Right.
yeah, I've now, it's been a while, Joe. I think the last loss I took like this was in 2019 against you. It was a 15-4, and that was in week two, and I end up in first place and end up winning a championship.
Mhm.
So I realized that taking a loss like this, although it's not pretty, it's just one of those things that happen, and it just, it gets you to where you're supposed to be as a team. You're never as hot as you are when you are hot, and you're never as bad as you are when you're that cold. So I guess right now I'm like a 10 over 500 kind of team, and a lot of these teams like yours and mine and Bobby's and Jay's are starting to like shape up of what they're supposed to be.
Let us get to managers of the week, my friend. Let's start with your number three. Who do you got at number three?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with said manager Cody Piatt. I mean, it's really impressive to be Jay Ferraro, no matter what context. And this was just gritty. It was just so hard fought, mostly on the offensive side, but incredible matchup in general. And I'll credit him for getting this win.
I'm going to go with Brian Lebo getting off the schneid and getting himself his first win of the season over Frank Bucco. Number 14-6 was the final score. I told you it was coming, Lebo. You just had to be patient. Here it is. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Let's see what you got in the second act. Benji, who you got at number two?
Yeah, it was the biggest bumping of the entire week. It's an 18-2 win from Mike Haber over Jason Ashby, putting Jason's season now in a little bit of question. And Mike Haber doing what Mike Haber does, which is get himself into first place at some point during the season. He will be at the top. Here he is right now after 7 weeks. And yeah, he just dominated him in every way possible. And Jason couldn't find a way to get momentum anywhere. It's just all across the board. It seemed like it was. I mean, I understand like he batted 187, had 272 on base. I mean, it's hard to compete with these stats, but Mike knew how to play against it exactly. So you're plus 16. It's incredible.
Yeah, plus 16 is absolutely incredible. It does get my what's the word I'm looking for? Honorable mention. That's what I was looking for. It does get my honorable mention this week. It is a huge blowout and a catapult to first place for Mike. Number two is going to be Cody beating Jay Ferraro 12-9 here. I thought it was a great win over a really competitive matchup. So number one for you is going to be Bobby, I assume.
Yeah, for sure. It's mainly in the fact that he is. I mean, we talked about all those numbers, but playing with only 22 men on the roster, with four clogging the IL spots, I made that one little nitpicky criticism that if he had ads to give, he might as well have used it on De Los Santos to drop him as opposed to doing it the next week. But in general, how could you really criticize this week? I mean, he was impressive, and the way he played a short lineup on Thursday, the way he sort of backed away on Sunday, being careful about certain stats like strikeouts, he was brilliant the whole way, and he made it impossible for me to gain any kind of momentum. I realize no one really can gain momentum when someone has a 329 average and a 424 on base percentage, but
Mhm.
look, You got to play who's on your schedule, and you got to beat who's on your schedule.
Yes, and he took it to you. He led the league in average and on base this week. Had an ERA that I think was either third or fourth in the league because there were a few guys who pitched under a 2.5 ERA, but it was still damn impressive. This 2.5 ERA, damn impressive to get done. Guys, that will do it. Benjamin, thank you so much for being here with me, my friend.
It was a pleasure as always, Joe. Thank you so much for the platform, for giving me an opportunity to vent a little bit when weeks like this happen. It's quite therapeutic, and I know it's therapeutic for the rest of the league to listen to us break down their matchup. So thanks again, as always.
Thank you guys all for listening, watching, and being a part of this incredible league. We would have nothing without you guys. So thank you once again. Until next time, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.